Hello and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host, Owen James, the channel that brings you all your latest Rangers news, guys. Right, let's talk a little bit about what Leon Balogun has been saying. I love Big Leon, absolutely love the guy to bits. He has been on the Counter Attack podcast, which I think is a fabulous name for a podcast, isn't it? Counter Attack. Fabulous. He's talked about his love for Rangers, talked about Nigeria, talked about a number of different factors. It's a really good listen. Go ahead and give it a listen. If you've got Spotify, Apple Podcasts, just put Counter Attack podcast into the search bar and it will bring you up something that looks a little bit like that. Anyway, one of the things that he did talk about was Cyriel Dessers and the fact that he is not happy at all with fans booing Dessers and jeering Cyriel Dessers. He said it's extremely disrespectful, and he out as well at the sarcastic clapping of Dessers when he goes off sometimes as well. Now, all this emerges on the back of the fact that Dessers has been booed coming on a number of times now, including in the game against Aberdeen. Apparently, there was a section of fans who booed Dessers coming on to the pitch in that game. In this podcast, the Counter Attack podcast, Leon Balogun has branded it extremely disrespectful towards the player. However, he did acknowledge, of course, that he understands the fans' frustration this season due to not only the inconsistent form of Rangers, but the inconsistent form of his teammate, Cyriel Dessers, as well. But I think, all the players can kind of be held responsible for inconsistent form. I don't think, there's been a consistency from anyone this season. But certainly interesting comments from Big Leon. Cyriel Dessers is someone who, since he's arrived at the club, has come in for an awful lot of criticism, including from me as well. Personally, my feelings on Cyriel Dessers. I don't rate the guy. I don't think he's good enough for Rangers. I don't think he's talented enough. I think he makes ridiculous comments. I think the team looks a whole lot better without him in the side. I think his movement is poor. His hold-up play is poor. His understanding of the offside rule is poor. He's as slow as a weekend in Scarborough or Blackpool or somewhere horrible like that in the UK. He's not a great forward, is he? And a lot of people say, he scored a hat-trick at the weekend. Yeah, but it was against Fraserburgh. I'm not being funny, but I reckon my mum probably could have scored a hat-trick against Fraserburgh. I really do. Now, talking about these boos and jeers, Leon Balogun said, we've had it here in the past when a player comes on and gets booed or a player comes off and gets clapped off in a sarcastic way. As we know, Rangers fans are not the most forgiving, shall we say. I mean, as I think it was Barry Ferguson once said, you've got 10 minutes, go impress us. And Richard Gough once said, Ibrox, you're not as good as your last game, you're as good as your last pass. He says, I don't condone that at all because it's the same player you want to score or defend better. You can criticise them heavily, but watch the language. It's extremely disrespectful. Some fans would say their performance was disrespectful, but if you see the effort they put in, then you can't put that on disrespect because he has tried his best. It's all you can do. You can criticize his quality, but it's all about how you do things in life, and certain things are off limits for me, so that's poor. I've witnessed it, not against me personally, but anyways, it's tough. Look, I'll be honest with you, Cyriel Dessers is, an enigma. Very much an enigma. He's a player who could score good goals, like the third one against Aberdeen. But again, it's a goal where you're coming up against a team that are tired and beaten at that point, the same as his two against Kilmarnock. Should you boo Cyriel Dessers when he comes onto the pitch? Look, that's down to you. I mean, look, I'll be honest with you. I think the issue we've got with this, and I think there's a lot of fans who will say you should never boo a player that plays for your team. And I understand that. And I get that. And then you say other fans will come out and say, well, I pay my money. I'll go and watch the game. If I want to boo someone, then I've got every right to boo them. And what gets me is there's kind of a hypocrisy around some of this as well with, certain, obviously the fans that booed the Union Bears after they left in the 55th minute were probably some of the same fans that say you shouldn't boo players. There's a bit of a hypocrisy around that. You can't have it one way and have it the other way. You can't have your cake and eat it, or you can't eat your cake and have it, to quote the Unabomber. So look, I think overall, whether you agree with booing Dessers when he comes on or booing Dessers full stop, that's down to you. That's individually down to you. And look, as much as I love Big Leon, I do believe that fans have every right to criticise players, and if fans want to boo the player's effort or boo what the player does, then that's their right. That is their right. Whether you support that or not, or whether you think that's right or not, we live in a country that at the moment still has freedom of speech. For how much longer, I don't know. But, we still have some sort of part of free speech in this country. And we have the right to express ourselves. And I think, as long as that language or that criticism doesn't become personal in terms of, attacking a person individually or personally for appearance or for individual characteristics or something like that, or for sexual preference or for whatever, then that's fair enough. But I think, in terms of players on the football pitch, you have every right to criticize what they do on the football pitch. They are paid enough money to take that criticism. Personally, like I said, I don't rate Cyriel Dessers. I think he's a very poor footballer. The reasons I think he's a poor footballer, as like I've stated, his movement is very poor. You look at Igman's movement, you look at Danillo's movement, they are much better at pulling defenders out of position and creating room for other players to run into and creating chances, especially against the low block, whereas Dessers is much more static and much more easy to mark against the low block. His hold-up play is very poor as well. You look at the class of Igman and Danillo, the way they can bring the ball down on their chest, on their knee, on their thigh, on their instep, wherever. And the fact that, you look at the confidence the midfield have to break beyond Igman and break beyond Danillo, there is not that same confidence when Dessers is playing. You can noticeably see the midfield hold back when Dessers is up top because they fear the ball is just going to bounce straight back at them. The number of times he's offside, the sitters that he misses. I mean, you look back at that chance, I think it was Nice away, that he's got a whole goal to go out and he manages to somehow put it wide. There was against Ross County last year, a game that we went on to lose 3-2. He has two absolute gilt-edged chances that, I'm not being funny, that Sibo and Solenko probably would have scored. He misses those. We go on to lose the game. He misses 5 at the end of last season against Hearts. Again, a game that we don't win. He misses that open against Fraserburgh, a goal that was easy to score. He misses against Motherwell in the semi-final. He misses so many easy chances. And I think the worry with Dessers is that when it really matters, when the game is absolutely on the line, if a chance falls to him, you are really genuinely concerned about him putting the ball in the back of the net. And as I said on Sunday, I think, had Hamza played up top, he would have had 6. I mean, he really would have done. I think, with the chances that were created for Dessers, he missed a number of easy chances. Again, yes, he scored 3, but like I said, it was Fraserburgh. In terms of his speed as well, he's not the quickest. Hamza is quicker. Danillo is quicker. And in terms of that forward pace, particularly when we play balls over the top at times, Dessers is not the best forward to do that because he has no pace. So, personally speaking, I don't think he's worth 27 grand a week. I think for those reasons I've just outlined, those footballing reasons I've just outlined, the guy isn't good enough. And the goals he scores, yes, he scored 14, 15 goals this season, but you look at those goals, how many of those have been critical goals? Very few of them. 2 against Killy, not important. The game was done and dusted. It was 3-0 at that point. The goal against Aberdeen, the third one, it was already 2-0. Game was done and dusted. He does score goals when they don't genuinely matter. Yes, he does get the odd one that matters, and we can go back to whenever, but on the whole, he doesn't score critical goals, which is what you want your centre forward to do. Parkhead away, he takes 6 months, and ends up losing the ball. Had he scored that chance, that game could have easily ended differently. So I do believe that, personally speaking, he isn't good enough for Rangers. But, in terms of whether you should boo him or whatever you do, I think that's up to you. That is down to you, the individual. So I don't really agree with Big Leon on this. He's got his right to his opinions, as we all have. But, I don't think it's disrespectful. I think it's a genuine sense that fans are fed up. And I think, fans are genuinely pissed off this season. They are genuinely fed up of the second-rate nature of the team at the moment, and the fact that at times they can play like prime Barcelona, prime Real Madrid, and other times look like prime dog and duck. And the fans get fed up of it and demand better, especially when you see the other side of the city having the success that they have. And the likelihood, obviously, that they will beat what they love on. I mean, let's face it, they're playing Young Boys on Wednesday, and let's face it, we all know Celtic love Young Boys. They'll beat them and they'll probably progress to the knockout stages of the Champions League, which, fair play to them. But, when you see that and you see us, not in the Champions League, 15 points or whatever it is at the point. I don't know how many, I don't care how many points, when the league's done and dusted basically already in January, you get frustrated. And I think fans have a right to air that frustration. Of course they do. And as for Cyriel Dessers, I hope we sell him in January. I really do. The guy's just not good enough for the club. You know, no matter what you think of him as a person, I'm sure he comes across as a lovely guy, a nice person. But you know, at the end of the day, it's his footballing ability, and he just is not good enough as a striker for this club. That's the fact. You know, you put him in that rotation with Igman and Danilo, and he's not even in the same class as Igman and Danilo. I know Danilo gets injured a lot, but he's still a better player than Cyriel Dessers. You know, his goals per minute actually show that. Like I said, let me know what you think anyway, guys, of what Balogun's had to say. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this. Personally, like I said, I think Big Leon's wrong. I think, you know, at the end of the day, fans have a right to air their opinion. It's freedom of speech. Guys, let me know anyway. Anyway, please like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, remember, on the way out, we are the people.